Freedom. It's a thing that is often underestimated in society today. We enjoy our personal liberty and sometimes forget to fight for those who need it the most. Hi, I am Jeff, and in this video, we're going to talk about two literary pieces that might change how you see freedom. For today, we have a Convict's Twilight and Requiem. Both literary pieces highlight the concept of prisons, but their perspective and literary devices vary at some points. First, let's talk about A Convict's Twilight. This piece was written by Arturo Rotter, a very well-known medical doctor, and the disease Rotter syndrome was named after him. The story is set in a convict camp in Davao, Philippines, and it shows the lives of convicts living in prisons. The text begins with convict laborers returning to camp after a day of back-breaking work, clearing the rainforest to make way for farms. It eventually progresses to the convict stories in Bilibid Prison in Manila. From the line, perhaps it is not really the end of the day that comes so soon, but merely the feeling that it ended, we can feel their satisfaction because twilight brings the end of their day's work. It signals their self-time as stated from the line, for it is the only hour that the convict has for playing. Moreover, twilight brings them the beginning of darkness and the cold air, which repeatedly reminds them that they are isolated from the real world with the lack of lights and the sounds that signal the nightlife. Bilibid and Davao convict camps were then compared, and the author stated that in Bilibid, freedom and liberty were just on the other side of the wall. As we are all quarantined at our homes today, we are also experiencing the sadness resulting from the lack of social interaction. But the thing is, our freedom isn't completely stripped and we won't be quarantined for long. Next, it was pointed out that most inmates seem to be ecstatic in talking about their life history. This is a reminder to the reader that behind every cell are humans. The purpose of imprisonment is rehabilitation, not human degradation. Our country's prison system is so flawed that prisoners are treated like animals. Not to mention the flawed justice system where innocent people get imprisoned and some high-valued criminals roam free. The line, "The men who are free, have they no such simple qualities as sincerity and gratefulness?" is a big question for the readers. It entails that free citizens often forget freedom. We usually take it for granted. This is a reminder to be grateful for all things, especially abstract things like freedom, democracy, and solidarity. Now let's proceed to Requiem by Anna Akhmatova. Requiem is a poem cycle because it is a collection of shorter poems. Akhmatova lived in Russia during Stalin's reign of terror. Her poems seek to bear witness to the oppressive silence during that time. The Requiem cycle was written as a response to the imprisonment of Akhmatova's son. In fact, to avoid Stalin's persecution, she burned her writings and instead taught a circle of friends the words of her poems. In this poem cycle, we are introduced to the view from the outside. This time, it's from a relative of a prisoner. The lines, "Such grief might make the mountains stoop, reverse the waters where they flow," metaphorically describes the emotions from the people waiting outside the prison. Their sadness is intense, but it's not enough to thaw the hearts of those who rule the system. During the Great Purge, the happenings were so cruel, and it shows in the line, "That was a time when only the dead people could smile." It's the moment in history where people were stripped for liberties, and everyone in the lower parts of the social hierarchy felt like prisoners, even though they were free. Moscow's Red Square is known for its political symbolism, but it was actually named for its loveliness. Krasnaya, or red, meant beautiful in Old Russian. It was mentioned in the line, "Like the wives of Peter's troopers in Red Square, I'll stand and howl under the Kremlin towers." With such extreme living conditions and the lack of freedom, people had no choice but to face each day with strength. The line, "Kill memory, kill pain, turn heart into stone, and yet prepare to live again," showed that people just accepted their fate and maintained the silence. Akhmatova broke the silence, and it's a great reminder to all of us that although we are not directly affected by some injustices, we must always speak up and side with the oppressed, never with the oppressor. Now for the conclusion. These two literary pieces show us the meaning of freedom beyond the definition we know as ordinary citizens. As responsible citizens, we must always partake in nation building and never forget those who sacrifice for our country. We must always remember that rights not given to someone is an injustice to all. Since our colonizers left our country years ago, is it safe to say that our country is now free? Are we free, or did our chains just get loose? Maybe that's a question for the next video.